Hey everyone, I know I've been busy with a flurry of BG3 content, but I wanted to take a moment to talk about some really disturbing news that has to do with the future of a game I know many of you also follow, Dragon Age 4. So, yesterday on Twitter, I noticed some people talking about bad news from Bioware. Granted, I was busy for most of the day working on content and other channel related chores, so I didn't find out what that actual news was until a few hours later. But apparently, BioWare had released a letter on the state of their company, and the details were not so great. So let me read it to you in its entirety so we can go over what it might mean for the future of Dreadwolf. Today, rather than discuss one of our upcoming projects, I'd like to share an update about the studio itself and outline our vision for BioWare's future. In order to meet the needs of our upcoming projects, continue to hold ourselves to the highest standard of quality, and ensure BioWare can continue to thrive in an industry that's rapidly evolving, we must shift towards a more agile and more focused studio. It will allow our developers to iterate quickly, unlock more creativity, and form a clear vision of what we're building before development ramps up. To achieve this, we find ourselves in a position where change is not only necessary, but unavoidable. As difficult as this is to say, rethinking our approach to development inevitably means reorganizing our team to match the studio's changing needs. As part of this transition, we are eliminating approximately 50 roles at BioWare. That is deeply painful and humbling to write. We are doing everything we can to ensure the process is handled with empathy, respect, and clear communication. With that last point in mind, I want to take a moment to explain how we got here, what we're doing to support our colleagues, and what this means for BioWare's current and future games. Now, one thing that really stands out to me here is reorganization, because I've actually been part of a corporate reorg, and it usually doesn't have good motivations. It's usually about finding ways they can either get rid of people or finding ways that they can consolidate jobs to make, one person do multiple jobs. Okay, so the next section says what's happening now. After much consideration and careful planning, we have built a long-term vision that will preserve the health of the studio and better enable us to do what we do best, create exceptional story-driven single-player experiences filled with vast worlds and rich characters. The vision balances the current needs of the studio, namely ensuring Dragon Age Dreadwolf is an outstanding game with its future, including the success of the next Mass Effect. We've chosen to act now in part to provide our impacted colleagues with as many internal opportunities as possible. These changes coincide with a significant number of roles that are currently open across EA's other studios. Impacted employees will be provided with professional resources and assistance as they apply for these positions. While it's unlikely that everyone will find a new role within the company, we are committed to supporting our staff as they navigate this change. Our sincere hope is that they can continue their exemplary work at studios who stand to benefit immensely from their talents, which is basically just saying that, they're gonna try to redistribute some of these employees across EA, which honestly, for people who had just been with BioWare, isn't probably gonna be optimal or what they want. And obviously, they're not gonna fill every position because there's not enough openings. So then we have the next section, which just says immediate impact. If you're wondering how all of this will impact development of Dragon Age Dreadwolf, let me be clear that our dedication to the game has never wavered. Our commitment remains steadfast, and we are all working to make this game worthy of the Dragon Age name. We are confident that we'll have the time needed to ensure Dreadwolf reaches its full potential. I can also tell you that every member of our team, even those departing BioWare, deserves credit for crafting a spectacular experience. These are our colleagues and friends, and we would not be here without them. I am so proud of all the work our team has done. So, this part is really hard to swallow. For one, their commitment remains steadfast. That's just not true. I mean, if it were true, then they wouldn't have, completely diverted all resources to work on Anthem and then started Dragon Age Dreadwolf almost from scratch. And they would also be updating us and telling us what's going on, and I also find it really suspect that this news is coming out on the heels of Larian's immense success with Baldur's Gate 3. Do you think maybe there was a big meeting where they looked at what they had and they realized that it wasn't what people wanted? especially when they saw how much people liked BG3. They realized it wasn't going to compare. and there were some panic among, the executives, like, oh, geez, we don't have anything this good. And that's at least what I surmise. I obviously have no proof of that. It's just, my own conjecture. So the last bit here says, what comes next? While this is an extremely difficult day for everyone at Bioware, we are making changes now to build a brighter future. We're excited for all of you to see what we've been building with Dreadwolf. A core veteran team led by Mike Gamble continues their pre-production work on the next Max Effect. Our commitment to quality continues to be our North Star. As cliche as this sounds, there truly is never a good time to enact changes like this, but we trust that we have the right leaders and team in place with vision, passion, and proven track records to deliver world-class Dragon Age and Mass Effect experiences that our fans will love. For now, I want to thank everyone at Bioware, past and present, for making the studio what it is. I also want to thank our community for your continued support. We're eager to reveal more about Dreadwolf, and we look forward to discovering what else the future holds. This is from General Manager of Bioware, Gary McKay. So, I can't help but think, though, that, they just laid off 50 people. How exactly is that going to help them make progress? That's going to actually make it harder. And some of the people they laid off were hugely integral, like people that have been there since the beginning, like Mary Kirby, who is known for creating Varric and a huge amount of the content that is in the Dragon Age game. And they just fired her. She actually put a tweet up that said, so hey, if anyone's looking for a writer/narrative designer with kind of an absurd amount of experience, I'm available. So that's concerning. Some people have wondered if this means that this is the last Dragon Age title, or if at the very least that they're going to kill off Varric. And people are not happy about this. The backlash is pretty insane. People talking about how they're shouting swear words, people just completely shocked. This isn't good press for them. And as much as I hate to say it, because I am actually looking forward to Dreadwolf, it just does not bode well for the title at all. For one, with 50 less people and losing some of the primary talent, is it going to be any good? And for two, is it even going to happen? Is it even going to happen? Because they've been completely silent, for so long now. Like, most fans are just kind of like, is the game even ever going to happen? Like, I don't understand how they wouldn't be further along in, development, considering Dragon Age 3 came out in 2014? 2014. That's like 10 years, basically. And we don't know when the game's even going to come out. It might actually be longer than 10 years. And this is just, it's really unsettling. It's unsettling because even if the game does come out, I don't know. What's the quality going to be? Is there actually going to be quality? Because I even had some issues with Inquisition. Compared to Baldur's Gate 3 especially, there's a huge amount of choice, that I enjoy. And a lot of that choice that used to be in Dragon Age games was taken away in Inquisition. It was almost like an illusion of choice, and people complained about it in Mass Effect 3's ending as well. This illusion of choice. It's like they act like you have a choice, but the choice doesn't really do anything for you. And so that's what really makes me think that, they're seeing the success of Baldur's Gate 3. There are probably even some people playing the game that are on their dev team, and they're probably like, yeah, this game is, blowing us out of the water. And there are a lot of people, myself included, who have compared this game to Dragon Age Origins, which, in my opinion, is my favorite of the Dragon Age games. And most people who have played it agree. Most. Anyways, it's just one of those things I wanted to talk about because it's big news. It's big news. We haven't even had any news. And then all of a sudden we get this, and it just worries me a lot, and how many people are even going to want to support BioWare after this? I'm sure people get desperate enough for their Dragon Age. They'll fork over the money even after this, what I consider bad behavior. I think it's extremely bad. Unless the people that they were firing, like if all the people that they fired were actually not doing their job well and they were cutting like dead weight, but then you have Mary Kirby being fired, and it seems pretty obvious that that's not the case. That they're actually firing people who were talented and helped make Dragon Age what it is today, Well, I guess we'll just see what happens, but this, on a whole, is just not good for the series, for either Mass Effect or Dragon Age or BioWare. I mean, it just really looks bad. That's about all I can think to say on the topic, but by all means, feel free to comment below and add anything additional or any thoughts. It just makes me feel kind of bummed. I was already kind of bummed just because there's nothing. It's just like this complete lack of updates on Dreadwolf, a game that, like, let's be realistic, we should have had by now. And then this, and it does bum me out, but at least I've got Baldur's Gate 3.